Baruch Spinoza is one of the most influential philosophers of the 17th century, whose ideas are still admired and debated today. His teachings on the nature of God, freedom, and the human soul remain relevant in today's world. In this video, we will look at 7 key philosophical teachings of Spinoza that may change the way you look at life, freedom, and happiness. God as nature, Spinoza's pantheism. Spinoza argued that God and nature are one and the same. In his work Ethics, he wrote, Deus sive natura, God or nature. This means that God is not a separate person standing above the world, but is the very essence of the universe. Everything that exists is part of God, and there is nothing outside of him. This teaching challenges traditional religious views, but opens new horizons for understanding the world. If God is nature, then knowing the laws of nature becomes a way of knowing God. It calls us to respect the world around us and seek harmony with it. Imagine an ocean in which each wave is a separate phenomenon, but at the same time all the waves are part of the whole. In the same way, each person is part of the great flow of nature, which is in perpetual motion and change. Determinism. Everything is predetermined. Spinoza was a proponent of determinism, the idea that all events in the world are predetermined by a chain of cause and effect. He believed that even human will is not free, but is conditioned by external and internal factors. At first glance, this may seem pessimistic. However, Spinoza saw it as liberating. Accepting determinism allows us to shed the illusions of control and focus on what really matters, understanding the causes of our actions and pursuing wisdom. Imagine a river that flows along a predetermined course. Rocks, obstacles, and bends in the river are inevitable, but by knowing their location, we can learn to use the current to our advantage rather than fight it. Freedom as realized necessity. Spinoza argued that true freedom is not the absence of limitations, but the realization of necessity in harmony with the inevitable. When we understand the reasons for our actions and emotions, we cease to be their prisoners. True liberation comes not by denying the laws of nature, but by accepting and utilizing them wisely. For example, if we realize that anger is a reaction to external circumstances and not an inherent part of our nature, we can stop being subject to it. Thus, freedom is not an arbitrary choice, but the ability to follow reason and act in accordance with natural laws. This idea is close to Eastern philosophy, especially Taoism, which teaches harmony with the flow of life. Instead of resisting inevitable change, we can learn to accept it and use it to our advantage, becoming not passive victims of circumstance, but conscious participants in the great order of being. Emotion and reason. The path to happiness. Spinoza believed that emotions are a natural part of human nature, but they can both help and hinder us. He divided emotions into active emotions, those we control, and passive emotions, those that control us. To achieve happiness, we need to pursue active emotions such as love and joy, and avoid passive ones such as fear and hatred. This requires self-discovery and work on oneself, but the result is inner harmony and freedom. Think of a gardener who tends his garden. He cannot stop the rain or the wind, but he can choose which plants to grow, how to protect them, and how to use the conditions of nature to his advantage. Unity of soul and body. Spinoza rejected Descartes' dualism, which separated soul and body. He argued that the soul and body are two sides of the same coin. They are inextricably linked and influence each other. This teaching emphasizes the importance of taking care of both physical and mental health. We cannot be happy if we ignore one of these sides. Balance between body and soul is the key to a fulfilling life. Modern research supports this idea. Physical activity improves mood, and a positive attitude promotes better well-being. Harmony of body and mind makes a person stronger and more confident. Abandonment of hope and fear. Spinoza believed that hope and fear are two sides of the same coin, because both of these feelings are rooted in ignorance and uncertainty about the future. Hope is a form of fear that what is desired may not materialize, and fear, in turn, is the hope that the undesirable will pass us by. In his view, living in anticipation of the future prevents us from finding peace. Instead, Spinoza urges us to focus on the present, because only through its realization and acceptance can we achieve true happiness. This idea is in line with the Buddhist principle of mindfulness, which teaches us to live in the here and now without clinging to the past or worrying about what has not yet happened. Awareness gives freedom from illusions and fears, allowing us to enjoy the process of life itself. Love of God as the highest goal. For Spinoza, the highest purpose of human life is intellectual love for God, or Deui intellectualis, which is not an emotion but a deep understanding and acceptance of the nature of God. It is a love that is based on reason, not on blind faith or rituals. Spinoza believed that knowledge of the world and of ourselves leads to a realization of our place in the great system of being, which in turn brings inner harmony and true happiness. This love does not need prayers or ceremonies, nor does it involve religious rituals. It manifests itself through the realization that the world and everything in it are inextricably linked. The more we explore the laws of nature, the more clearly we realize our connection to the whole. In this realization comes freedom from fear and delusion, which leads to peace and joy in existence. Freedom from false expectations and fear of the unknown is the path to true happiness, which is open to anyone who seeks knowledge and truth. Spinoza left a legacy that has inspired people for centuries. His ideas teach us to be aware, accept the inevitable, and strive for inner peace. His philosophy is not just a theory, but a guide to a meaningful and harmonious life. Each of his teachings is a kind of key to cognizing ourselves and the world around us. That is why Spinoza's philosophy continues to influence modern science, ethics, and even politics. Which of his ideas are closest to you? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks to the depth of his thought and logical structure, Spinoza became one of the founders of the modern rational worldview. His writings inspire philosophers, scientists, and thinkers around the world, offering a clear and coherent explanation of the nature of reality and human existence.